Hey everyone, Tom Seymour here from VHS Massacre. Today I'm going to do a talk about film festivals, how to enter film festivals with your film, what film festivals to pick, and then I can show you sort of proof of concept how I did with the last film I put out. Second part, I'm going to talk about updates on a documentary I've been working on called Video Dreams, and then lastly, just some announcements, other announcements. It's particularly about streaming. If you're interested, you're trying to make an independent film and get it streamed on some of the major platforms. We're going to talk about that. So one of the things, first off, when you're talking about film festivals and making an independent film, I think, in my personal opinion, it is actually a good place to put some money into if you're going to invest in something. Now, when you're making an independent film, in my opinion, a easier path to success is a genre film. So if you can do something like horror or sci-fi, special interest documentary is good if you have like a niche. And it gets a little harder when you're picking genres like drama and rom-com is very difficult. Lloyd Kaufman talks about it. If you look at his, he's got a series called Make Your Own Damn Movie, but he often will talk about rom-coms. Very difficult because sometimes no one will see rom-coms, Whereas genre films, Lloyd, I heard Lloyd give this talk, and it was great because he basically said, there are people out there that watch every monster movie ever made. They watch try to at least. They watched as many martial arts films as they can get their hands on. They watch as many slasher films as they can find. And so that's the power of genre film, where the genre itself people will pursue. So if you pick something outside of that kind of thing, then it becomes risky. In the mainstream, the equivalent of that is something like a superhero film, which as of recently has gotten more difficult, But somehow, technically, superhero movies are sort of a genre, like kind of a subgenre of action, let's say. It's usually like a genre blender, right? Action, sci-fi, comedy. So it's kind of all those things, right? So choosing a genre that you really love and you want to make into a movie is very important. And you should always pick the genre that you want. Life is short. Make the movie you want to make. That being said, if you like horror or sci-fi or a special interest documentary, if you like that the same as rom-com and you can't decide, consider going with the genre film, because what you'll have is a built-in audience, and that goes through the festival circuit as well. Now, typically, if you're going to be working with budgets, if you're a first-time filmmaker, a lot of the times you're not playing with a ton of money. Although I have seen people do Indiegogos and Kickstarters and raise a significant amount of money. I've had friends on their first time out raise close to $300 million. I'm sorry. Correction, $300,000. I've mostly made films under $15,000. That's the amount of cash we had on hand. Now you could justify that the films I made are a lot more expensive because a lot of people are doing multi-duty and a lot of people are not getting paid. They're volunteering. Because, at the time it was a fun project to get experience and make a movie. So you could argue that something like London Betty or Atlanta College Profits was, if everyone's labor was paid, was a lot more expensive. But the truth is, we just made the film because we wanted to. So a lot of us just worked on it for free. But like cash on hand was probably only about $14,000. One of the horror movies I did, Exorcism of Fleete Marish, was $6,000, and that had Ellen Muth and Debbie Rochon in it. So again, you call in a lot of favors, and people are volunteering, and you're getting like free locations and stuff like that. So, it can be done. So anyway, that's something you could do as a sort of structure for an independent film. You can do it in 10 days. Exorcism of Fleete Marish I like to use as a template, because what you do is you shoot for 9 days straight. So you shoot Saturday, Sunday, then you take 1 week off from work, because this video is more for middle class people who have a job and whatever, family to support. If you take 1 week off of work Monday through Friday and then shoot on the other weekend, you got 9 days there. And then what you do is, after you recover from that, because you're gonna be messed up after that 10-day shoot. You plan a weekend where you shoot like a Saturday or something like that. Make up stuff to make the film make sense, to get, it's like mini reshoots, but hopefully it's just getting anything you need to complete that film. And that's the 10-day structure, so you can do that. I would recommend that, not, overspending on the film, doing it for cheap. Because as an independent filmmaker, when you get to the streaming side, you will notice that low-budget filmmakers or no-budget filmmakers, independents they're not killing it financially, right? So you got to be careful on your budgets, especially if it's your money. Try not to spend too much of your own money. That's why I actually went into doc, because I didn't want to spend. I kind of wanted to just spend a small amount of money, spend my own money, and that kind of make what I want. Okay, so the film festival circuit. Film festival circuit, I think, is one of the ways that you as an independent filmmaker can get exposure on your film, and specifically in genre films. Let's just pretend you made a horror film or an action film, right? So if you go on Film Freeway, you can browse film festivals. If you look up, let's say, B movie, you'll get a number of film festivals, and you can use these sliders to change things if you want to just do film festivals and online film festivals awards, which these are just fine. These are great too. Oftentimes I'll bring this down to like $10. See what's there. See what I can enter for $10. See what matches. Now you got to be very careful about what festivals you pick. So you want to look into ones that you think were going to match. Let's say you made a horror film. So you go to Bloody Horror International. It's in Quebec. That's cool. Look at what types of films you can enter. Okay, feature film. Okay, $25. That's decent. Then you have your projects here, right? Read the fine details, and try to make sure that this description sort of matches what your film is. Now, this takes extra time, but it's your money, so you want to do this. So that's the way to do this. Now, if you're a first-time filmmaker, we all have dreams, right? We have big dreams. And so, yeah, you may want to look up Sundance. I don't even know if Sundance is on here, is it? Let's see. Sundance. Yeah, okay. So I haven't entered Sundance in years because they're more of a corporate event that showcases studio films than really independent. But we have dreams, right, in our lives, and so if you want to enter something like this, you should. With my last film, I think I went as far as Austin Film Festival and San Francisco Indie Fest, which is like the slam dance of San Francisco, and we got into that one, right? So you definitely can do it, but San Francisco Indie Fest is actually known for playing genre films, so it's a little different. Okay, so what I would recommend is make a 3-tiered list. Make your dream list of festivals that you'd like to get into. Make a mid-tier list, and then make a backup list. The backup list is it's not really a backup list. Those are festivals you think you got a decent shot to get into. Now, believe it or not, I think it actually is a good investment to, let's say you make a film, you team up with a friend, throw like a $500 a piece at film festivals. Because what this is for an independent filmmaker, it's our theatrical run. It's what gets attention nationally and internationally of our film. When we get into a festival, if it screens, even if it's online. And this is how we get press. And the press we get is when, let's say we're an official selection of a film festival. Okay, we tweet about it, we write it up on social media, we make a video like this about it. Yes, it is about getting into the festival, but it's also about the press that you generate when you get into the festival. And it's better than just a TikTok video of someone, I don't know, showing off a new car or something like that, because the video you make is based upon a merit, right? You got into something. Okay, so yes, you have to promote yourself, but this is a great way to do it because it's not what's the term? Salacious, right? It's like you did something, you accomplished something. So that's what that is about too. And so if you plan, try to enter ideally for $1,000, you should be able to enter maybe 30 festivals. If you're really frugal, maybe even 35. On the low side, maybe 20. But see, when you're browsing too, you can drop this all the way down to 0. And let's see, let's put in feature, and let's put in, let's see, we do horror. I guess we would type horror over here. Although we don't necessarily have to. So then, if these are all free, you go through these very carefully. The thing about free festivals is not a lot of them will take features, because it's a lot of time dedication, you know. But these filmmaker sessions, these are usually free. These are online, but you know, it's hosted by Pinewood Studios, which is, that's where they shot Star Wars and stuff like that. It's worth doing, because it doesn't cost anything, and maybe you do get a little publicity. You tell your friends, maybe they vote on it, so maybe that is worth doing. And a lot of these are school festivals or like sort of non-profit things. You really have to go through and make sure it fits. There's not going to be that many, but there'll be a few. Let's see if I can look up horror. Okay, Grindhouse Planet. This does have a 0 fee. Let's see if it actually is. United Kingdom. Okay, so yeah, I don't actually see the free part, but I mean, look at this. Best feature, $13. That's the kind of thing you're looking for. And here's something too. The name of the festival. This sounds silly, but if you won an award at Grindhouse Planet Film Festival, would you be happy with that? I would. That sounds awesome. That's exactly what I'd want a horror film festival to win from. A night of horror, that would be cool. Weekend of Fear, absolutely. That's a great one. That one, amazing. That one's in Germany. But if it's got a strange name or something like that, like Zoom International Student. Okay, that's not for us, right? That's a student festival. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so but this is going to be how you search. You search by that amount. You can tick this up to $15, maybe. Feature, we want film festivals and contests, and then we typed in horror. And then, some choices start to go through. Chicago Horror. This is a festival. We got into one of my documentaries, VHS Massacre 2. Actually, won at Chicago Horror. It was a huge deal. And I always tell this story. For years, I wanted to get into New York Horror Film Festival because I've lived half my life in New York City now, and so I've wanted to screen at New York Horror Film Festival. Was never allowed in, no matter what project. And I've directed, approaching a dozen features now, produced close to 30. Never gotten to New York Horror, but gotten to Chicago Horror Festival, which has actually been running longer. And a lot of people think it's a more important festival, and we won there. Okay, so this is the power of the film festival circuit. Maybe you have goals, but keep your mind open, because sometimes you don't get exactly a goal, but sometimes you get something even better. So you just got to hang in there with that kind of stuff. Tokyo Horror, I got into that one before. There's some very cool festivals around the world that be more than happy to take your festival. Look at all these cool festivals. Now click through. You want to make sure they take feature. If you made a feature, you want to make sure they take features. You want to make sure it's not it's not a student festival or something like that. And then what you can do is you can keep here you can watch list stuff. So just go through, research them, keep watch listing stuff, and then you accrue 20, 30 festivals, and then like I said, team up with your friend, sign up for the gold. If you do you can sign up for I think it's called Gold Pass, and you'll save 10 or 15% off the entry fee. So actually what you do is you get your watch list, you pick out 20 or 30 festivals. When you're ready to pull the trigger on it, your buddy, you by yourself, you get the money in place, sign up for the Gold Pass, enter all of them at the same time, and then just pay for that 1 month and then cancel. And then you'll have saved like probably $200, So that's a way to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go into this thing called the dashboard. This is the breakdown of some of the stuff I've done. This is really cool. I like this little tab down here. So it's 6 projects. VHS Massacre 2, we went really hard. 71 submissions, right? 25 selections, 36%. Believe it or not, 36 is really good. You're going to get into about 1 and 3. But for this one in particular, Exorcism of Fleete Marish, 65 submissions, 16 selections, 25%. Not quite as good as VHS Massacre. I mean, this one says 100%, but we didn't. We only entered a handful of stuff with that one. This one, I think, is the most impressive. American Expendables is a feature-length documentary that's streaming now on Tubi and Filmzy and Prime. Very proud of getting that one out. 26 submissions, 13 selections, 1 penny, 52 selection rate. Okay, that's very high. The reason is, for this one, I was very specific. I went after festivals that I went after festivals that I thought I had a good chance at. Maybe I'd gotten in before. But if you look, there's a lot of cool ones here. Montreal Requiem Fear Fest, that's a great one. Vancouver Horror Show I didn't get into. I got into Chicago Horror. We didn't get in with this one. Rome Indie. But in the past, I've gotten into those before. That's why I entered. Cine Paris. I did a Liftoff. Sci-Fi Underground. Let's see. Yeah, so if I look at judging status, we bring up all the ones I got into. I'm very proud of this. This is cool, right? Weekend of Fear, Cine Paris, Requiem Fear Fest, New Filmmakers in New York, which that typically plays in Anthology Film Archives, but this year they did a virtual. San Francisco Indie Fest, another hole in the head. This one was like huge. This was a big deal for us. Top Indie Awards, Independent Horror Movie Awards. This one I love. This is like a little contest. Such a great name, and I recommend this one highly. Bloodstain, let's see, Torino. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of a breakdown. But if you go through, let's see, Weekend of Fear, if I go to the listing, and read through, these are some conditions of Weekend of Fear. Maybe you go to the website, check out the website. Looks great. They're playing in a real theater, and so it's that kind of thing. You want to pick stuff that you're comfortable with, or what you're aiming for with your film. So anyway, all this to say, American Expendables is completed its film festival run, and this is the listing of stuff it's got into. I think it won 7 independent film awards. I suppose there's a chance that San Francisco Indie Fest, maybe we could win there, but I'm not really sure. But we were delighted just to get selected for it. I think there's either 14 or 15 official selections, but 7 independent film wins. This is something I like to do at the end of the film festival run, towards the end, is to make a festival poster. It looks really cool, shows off your wins. Like I was saying in another video, it almost looks like a passport with all its stamped, but it kind of shows that the film has been around the world. It's passed muster. It's got its rank, its wins, its badges, and so it's something that is fun to do with your project. So if you finish a feature film, documentary, whatever, hit the festivals, and then make your festival poster. Now, this is another great part of the film festival circuit. Film festival circuit is wonderful because, like I was showing you percentage-wise, if you entered 10 festivals and got into 3, you don't talk about the 7 you got into, and you don't talk about the 7 you did not get into, and no one cares about the ones you didn't get into. They care about the ones you did get into, and so. And maybe you got into 3, maybe you won 1. So you put those credentials on here. And so basically, if you have a poster like this, people don't look at this and think, wow, this person, in this particular case, 52% selection rate. They don't think of the other half of these that I didn't get into. They just look at this and go, wow, this film must be okay because it got into all these. And you know what? It does mean that. The film is solid because all these festivals liked it enough to either play it in a theater and invite people to pay money to see, or they thought it was good enough to put their name on and give you an award, like the Telly Award, which won the gold. First time I've ever won a gold Telly. And so think of it that way, like it's and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the other avenue would be, let's say if you didn't have a film distributor, to try to get reviews first. Okay, this is a big mistake, a lesson I took way too long to learn. But if you have an independent film, don't go after a review. Don't hunt after reviews. Don't email people, say, can you please review my film? Because you're like a salesman then selling your film to someone who more than likely doesn't want to watch it anyway. It's much better if they come across your film, if they discover it. And maybe they discover it from a festival. So let the film festival run be the powerhouse to then attract reviews. But if you go to get the review directly and you haven't had a distribution deal, I always quote this. So I always talk about the story. My film London Betty, which I just put my heart and soul into. I sort of was one of my friends knew some film critics, and they reviewed the film, and they gave it like an average review, and the average review absolutely shot the distribution opportunities in the foot, because the distribution company looked at the reviews that were out, and then they said, well, look, the reviews are not, the reviews weren't a home run, they were lukewarm, and then they used that as an excuse to just deny it, whereas it would have been better if it was untouched, it had no reviews, because then they would make their own minds upon it. But when there's publicity out there about it, and if it's not a powerhouse, then they're not gonna they're not gonna believe in it like that, and they have to counteract the mediocre reviews. Anyway, it was a huge mistake. Ultimately ended up being okay. We got Maverick Entertainment to distribute the film. The film got in all Blockbuster videos, which that was the crowning achievement at the time. Although within a few years, Blockbuster was in trouble. So, long story short, too late. That is the problem with going after reviews. So whereas if you do this, let's say you do this first and then you go after a film distributor, you can see if you were a film distributor, you would much rather see this. You'd much rather see like 7 festival awards and 14 selections and nominations than mediocre reviews online, right? Because they have to market the film too. So anyway, it is, again, to reemphasize, for an independent filmmaker, the film festivals are our theatrical premiere, because it's very hard these days. Yes, there's some independent films still around in Brooklyn and in Manhattan, Film Anthology Archives, Film Noir Cinema in Brooklyn, but even still, going directly to them, you're better going through Filmmakers New York, submit through them, and then they usually play at Film Anthology Archives, and then Film Noir Cinema. I think sometimes they have festivals there too. So again, probably better to go through film festival, because then they're doing some of their own promotion and all that stuff. Even though it is up to you to put butts in the seats. If you get into a film festival, you call your friends, you put out social media, you try to get people to come to the theater. It's your job too to fill up those seats. Just so you know, no one's going to make it happen for you. You have to do your own marketing with that stuff, even when you get into a festival. So, very important. All right, so that's the film festival run. This is what the press kit looks like. Essentially, description, director statement. You have the trailer. You have some stills. This one had Lloyd and Cynthia Rothrock, James Richardson, John Brennan from Last Drive-In, W. Rashan from every movie, W. Rashan from Trauma movies and 300 other movies. And the other thing too, this is really interesting. Here it says New York Times celebrated filmmaker. This film, VHS Massacre 2, eventually got a New York Times review, which is absolutely unbelievable for a tiny homemade documentary on basically this one's more about the streaming era. This took, I mean, the last time I was in the New York Times for a film review that I made was like decades ago, and it was really bad. So this took, so you never know. It can take, your, you can have these little comebacks in your career. It's just absolutely unknowable, though, I'll tell you. It's pretty wild. Um, yeah, so that's the deal with the film festivals. Okay, next topic. Um, American. Okay, so streaming. So once you got your film through the festival circuit, how do you get on these major streaming sites? Well, you typically still want to go through a distributor, because distributor, like nowadays, there are certain distributors. Let's say people who like physical media or people who like horror, independent films, genre films, have certain distributors they go to. So MVD is one, like Vinegar Syndrome, or like was it Scream Factory? Um, there's other ones, but Trauma is one. Full Moon, SRS. So the reason why you still might want to distribute, it's not that you're really going to make much money from the distributor, but ultimately you kind of want to be part of a group of you want to be in a group of films or a distribution company that people are known to flock to find that specific content. When I made the VHS Massacre documentary, the first one, we were desperate to get into trauma. We made the doc for trauma. They didn't ask for it. We just made it. But it's because trauma was such an important brand. They made such cool low budget B movies, and they were I just had such fond memories watching those films growing up in the video store era. They were just really important, and I liked Lloyd and all that stuff. So that's why we went after Troy, and that's why we went after Trauma, and it did work. Like when the film got put out through Trauma, that's Trauma vouching for the movie, and then all that 500,000 Trauma fans are like, well, maybe I'll check this out. And you know what? They really loved it, and they really loved the second one too. And so the thing is, without that Trauma brand, I don't know if my film ever would have gotten in to the right audience. And that one in particular, something amazing happened where Trauma signed a deal with FilmRise, and then FilmRise got it on like Peacock TV, NBC Universal and Mubi, and all these other like top tier streaming sites, as well as like Prime and Tubi and all those cool ones as well. So you just never know. You got to keep trying and put movies out, and then you see what happens. So just keep that in mind. It may be good to make a film knowing that you're looking at a handful of distributors. With American Expendables, we went through MVD. MVD I like because they're very straightforward. You can see how they divide revenue. I think they take 20 or 30%. You keep 70%. And you see exactly where they deliver to. They're super easy to work with. And I think they're great if you can get in there. And you just sign up through the website, and maybe they take you, maybe they don't. That's how it is. It's like getting into a college, So, same thing with Trauma. Although I think with VHS Massacre 1, we actually sent in a Blu-ray, and they liked it. So that's how that happened. So American Expendables is now on Filmzy as well. The last big announcement was Tubi, which was really amazing, but now it's on Filmzy. Okay, last thing is this Video Dreams documentary I'm working on. Recently talked to Debbie Rochon, so Debbie Rochon's gonna be a part of it and join the cast, which is really exciting. Debbie's been like really important for the last 10 years of my career, just being part of the documentaries and helping me out, and Same thing with, American Expendables really wouldn't have happened without her. So stay tuned for more information about Video Dreams. It's still a good year off. So pretty much all of 2025 I'll be trying to make this thing work, and be screening rough cuts and stuff like that to other people to try to clean it up. It's going to be a long process, but I think it might be all right. I think it might be good. So more news on that. So that's about it for now. I just say, if you're an independent filmmaker, hang in there, and you definitely can do it. It'll take a lot of effort, but it can be done. If you're going to make a horror film, try to shoot it all in the same location. Try to string together, 9 days in a row, and maybe a make-up shoot like a month later. And you can definitely do it. Small crew, half a dozen people, What we typically do is, like, sometimes the people acting in the film would actually help crew behind the scenes as well. It's easier to do if you're younger, but anyone could do it. So, okay, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.